So, in what has been a cold summer, surprisingly, things are heating up around Tuscaloosa. Today, I'm joined by Jake Merrill as we talk about Alabama pushing for a major flip for one of the best prospects in all of high school football, certainly one of the best running backs in the nation. Before we jump into that, y'all know the drill. I got to hear from y'all. Hop down to the comments. Y for yes, N for no. Do you believe Alabama flips Akland Deer? And then let me know what you think. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss it. And if you enjoyed the content, like and comment down below. Those interactions seem small, they are massive to content creators such as myself. But with all that being said, let's dive into it. As I alluded to in the intro, we are talking about Akland Deer, but we are also going to talk about the Nick Saban recruiting rumors. So be sure to stick around for that. Before we jump off, as always, I have to introduce our esteemed guest, Jake. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on, man. It's as you know, I love jumping in with you. You and me have a great time talking football, especially Alabama football, but football in general, right? It's been such an honor, and I've had a chance now to release my own channel. Pretty awesome, pretty fun. All inspiration from you and all the other guys I get to learn from. So, very excited about that myself.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I have no doubt that channel is going to kick off. And before we start, let the people know what that channel is one time.
That's right, man. It's set the tone. Alabama and college football talk. You can search it just honestly down below as you see right down here at coach underscore jmayer. You search that in the YouTube search box, it'll pop right up. But yeah, be fun. Start releasing videos. We're going to release some today. So it's going to be a good time.
Love it, love it. And what better way for us to start than talking about Akylin Dear, Alabama, Courtney Morgan pushing for a massive flip. Now, yesterday we sat down on the roundtable and talked about Ole Miss experiencing a wave of decommitments. And I understand there were some different takes on this. It's June. So we have to temper expectations for recruiting for anybody, right? Like even as
Right.
Alabama fans, we need to be excited because Sabin retired and a lot of people thought Alabama would be dead in the water in recruiting, but at the same time, we also have the nuance to understand it is June. There is a long way to go. There's nothing but time and opportunity between now and when pen hits paper in December. That being said, though, I do think it is notable what Ole Miss is experiencing right now. And today we wake up and Steve Wiltfong has fonged Akland Deer to flip from Ole Miss to Alabama. Now you may be asking yourself, who is Akland Deer? Well, I got you covered. He's the number 29 player in the nation for the 24/7 Sports Composite, the number 2 running back in the nation, and the number 2 player in the state of Mississippi. He stands 6'1", 200 pounds. So this is a 5-star running back. Depending on where you look, he's either the number 1 running back in the nation or the number 2 running back in the nation. And he's one of those running backs that has a diverse skill set. Like, what do you want him to do? And he can do it. As a true freshman in high school, he logged an 11.14 100-meter dash. And one of the things we talk about all the time, that's only going to get faster. Like, this is a guy that's going to get stronger, quicker, faster, and he's got the physical makeup to be able to be an every down back. Jake, talk to me about this as Alabama is pushing for a major flip. First and foremost, what do you think of Akland Deer? Secondly, does Alabama pull this flip off?
It, great questions on that because in the end of the day, Akland Deere, man, is one of my favorite backs in the class, right? Of this entire running back core. There's a lot of good running backs, a lot of great running backs. But there are a few like pristine diamonds, right? And I'll tell you, man, Akland Deere is one of those. There's a reason why he's ranked so high. Number one, his size alone, a 6'1", 205 pound running back. That's a buff dude right there, man. And he's going to continue to get stronger. And that's good size. I mean, you look at him, that means his body composition is really well tailored to play that position. You look at him in general too, right? Like he is a back that brings a lot of different aspects, as you said, to the game. He can catch, right? He can run, as we have seen, and shoot, he can even throw the ball if you need him to. But in the end of the day, the biggest thing what I like about him, man, is his ability to hit the hole. His vision's amazing. Even when he gets into traffic, he has great balance. His center of gravity stays, even as his feet shift. And you see this with really good backs that even if they get knocked from one end or the other, they're able to shift their body, can hold and maintain that center of gravity, maintain that balance, and still be explosive. You see it in the way he cuts, you see it in his running style. But when he does get in the open field, he's a burner. He's gone. I like everything about him. His acceleration, and just honestly his overall power, man. I think as he continues to get stronger, get into college too, we're going to see that power really come out. But what's beautiful is he has that full range of abilities in like I said, speed, power, balance, quickness, acceleration. He has kind of that whole package, and it makes sense why Bama is and was going after him as hard as they have. He's developed a great relationship with Gillespie. We've seen that over and over again, and that's something he's brought up every time he's been asked about Alabama is his relationship with Gillespie. But I think what was pretty amazing was on this last official visit, right? You really saw that camaraderie that he pulled in with like Daniel Hill, right, who hosted him. A freshman running back at Alabama right now,
From
another
Mississippi.
stud from Mississippi. And the fact that I feel like he sees that with the upperclassmen, right? And he sees the fact that these guys are willing to bring him in and want him to get better, want him to be part of that team. It's that has something to do right there, or I should say, that has something that really impacts that guy's mind, right? He's saying, man, these guys want me here. They're not worried about the competition. They want me to come so they can win a championship. And I just, man, I do. You ask me, do I think they flip him? Do I think that's a possibility? I do. I think it's a strong possibility. I think there's been just a lot of good relationships developed there, and there's a strong bond, and I think he sees his future. So,
Yeah, a few things on this, right? A few thoughts as I'm listening to your analysis right there. First and foremost, you dropped the famous line from Friday Night Lights where they're talking about Booby Miles and, oh, he can run the football, he can catch the football, and then he throws the touchdown pass, and his dad turns around and says, and he can throw the ball. That always stands out to me. Love that.
that's the best.
Secondly, Wilt Fong predicted him to flip. Fong, he doesn't insert a crystal ball prediction unless he knows something. Now, I'm not
Mhm.
saying he bats at 100%. If anybody in recruiting bats at 100%, Vegas needs to hire them
That's
now
right. That's right.
because this is a different ball game, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen. But Fong's the best in the business. We have a word to describe it. That's different in and of itself. So the other thing I want to talk about though is whenever we talk about Gillespie,
Mhm.
what an elite recruiter he is. I'm going to go through the list of guys, and this isn't a total list of guys. I had to cut it off somewhere, or else we'd
Mhm.
be here forever. But, Jake, are you ready to be blown away by the list of guys Robert Gillespie has successfully recruited?
Blow me away, bro. Let's hear it.
Keon Keeley, 5-star. Jahad Campbell, 5-star. Justice Haynes, 5-star. Des Ricks, 5-star. Emmanuel Henderson, 5-star. Kamar Wheaton, 5-star. Jalen Hurd, Alvin Kamara, Tyler Booker, Richard Young, Ty Chandler, Jamarian Miller, Earl Little, Kevin Riley, Turbo Rogers, Daniel Hill. And that's where I cut it off. That's where I was like, okay, I'm done with this. I almost filled up an entire page of a notebook. And that's when I was like, all right, I think they get the point. Gillespie being retained was such a big win for Alabama. And in my opinion, it affords us these conversations where there's so much turnover at Alabama and it's all going in such a positive direction. But retaining Roach, who's one of the premier recruiters in all of college football, retaining Gillespie, that's something that I just don't think we can really quantify. Right. And it's really going to help Alabama. What are you thinking when I read out that list of players?
I think you just sit there and I mean, number one, you think, wow, this guy is great at building quality relationships and identifying talent and identifying how to connect with these players who are being targeted by everybody in the nation, right? It's just it really amazes you. And he's had other stops prior, right? That we could probably even go, like you said, that list could go on and on and on. And I think it's just mind blowing, to sit there and look at what this guy contributes to his ability to show kids, hey, or young men, I should say, hey, this is what you can become. This is why this works for you. This is how we develop you, and really get that point across of securing in their mind like that this is the right move. This is the right direction for your future. So, John, I'm definitely blows me away.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you just look at some of these, right? Jalen Hurd was a really great player for Tennessee. He was a problem over there. Kamara, need I say more? Right? Tyler Booker, we know who Tyler Booker is. Everybody in college football knows who Tyler Booker is.
Yeah.
And what stands out to me, right, to kind of piggyback off of what you said about relationships before we dive into our second topic, being the Nick Saban recruiting rumors and allegations, is that they're not just sending him after running backs, right?
Oh,
He's the running backs coach. Jahad Campbell, Des Ricks,
mm,
Keon Keeley, Tyler Booker, right? Earl Little. This is a guy that they're like, oh, you're an elite relationship builder?
yeah.
What about that guy? What about this guy? What about this guy? And I mean, you look at the work he's done in like the state of Florida. Unbelievable, right? Like
Man.
huge wins there. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. Retaining Gillespie, retaining Roach, retaining some of the recruiting staff that's in the background that we don't talk about as much as we should. That's some of the biggest wins for Akylin Dear and this staff assembly. And when you look, like, where do we draw the line in terms of these wins? Getting Courtney Morgan, hiring Courtney Morgan to come over from Washington. I had someone comment the other day that, oh, that he didn't hire Courtney Morgan. Courtney Morgan was with him at Washington, but he had to hire him away from everybody else who
That's
wanted him
right.
and
That's
hire
right.
him to Alabama. So yeah, that is a great hire by Akylin
Yes, it
Dear.
is.
Because Jake, how many other suitors do you think Courtney Morgan had?
Oh, I bet you probably anybody in the nation would want him as part of their staff
You don't think his phone rang? Right? Like
24/7.
that guy was getting calls nonstop, I guarantee it. And luckily, Alabama and Akylin Dear were able to lock it down. And then we look at some of this recruiting staff that they have. But that gets us in to an allegation. I say the word allegation very purposefully.
Hmm.
A rumor that has popped up on social media. First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, if a rumor starts on social media, especially in the cesspool that is Twitter, I wouldn't believe it, right?
That's
Very
right.
rarely does it have legs. But the
Yep.
rumor we are referring to is that, oh, well, the only reason Alabama's class is succeeding is because Nick Saban's there recruiting in the background. Jake, before I pass this to you, because you are a former Division I college football player, no better person to hear this perspective from than you
Hmm.
about the viability of an ex-coach recruiting you. I do want to let it be known that Andrew Bone of On3, Bama Online, does a fantastic job, tweeted the other day that that rumor is absolute bullocks. It's not true. Outside of being at A-Day, Nick Saban hasn't been there. And if anybody's like, oh, well, he's still there, like in spirit, what? Like, no doubt Nick Saban did great things at Alabama. Nick Saban laid down a foundation that was unbelievable, that no doubt has allowed Akylin Dear to hit the ground running. I don't think that there's an Alabama fan out there that would detract from that. That
100.
Akylin Dear inherited something unbelievable, something rare. You
Hmm.
know, Jake, before I pass it to you, everybody's like Akylin Dear inherited a Ferrari. I disagree with that. You want to know why?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I've seen quite a few Ferraris in my lifetime.
Hmm.
I've never seen a Bugatti. Akylin Dear inherited a Bugatti,
I
right?
like it.
Ferraris are great,
Yeah,
but you see them. You
that's
see
right.
them.
That's right.
Akylin Dear inherited something, ladies and gentlemen, that you see once, twice.
I like it.
It's not common. And while Ferraris aren't common, we're talking about something that is uncommon amongst the rarity. And
Hmm.
that's where Alabama sits. So, Jake, talk to me as a former player about the viability of a coach that's not even coaching recruiting you.
I don't know how people. I mean, I do, right? Like
I
we
do.
all make up stories in our minds to tell ourselves something, that helps you sleep at night. But to really think though that Nick Saban is recruiting guys to come play at Alabama when he's not even coaching, when he on Saturdays, where do you think he is? Well, I'll tell you where he's going to be. He's going to be on College game day. So that's not going to be in Tuscaloosa every weekend. It's not going to be wherever Alabama's at every weekend, right? So it's interesting to hear that. As a former player, I can tell you this: like, yeah, don't get me wrong. Do coaches such as Pete Carroll, such as Lou Holtz, right, Notre Dame, Pete Carroll at SC. We could even look at Urban Meyer at Ohio State, not necessarily Florida, but Ohio State, right? Steve Spurrier at Florida, though. Shoot, we could go back. We could look at the different coaches who have come back. Barry Switzer over at Oklahoma, right? Like
Even
we
Bob
get
Stoops, whenever
Bob
Lincoln
Stoops,
left, Bob Stoops, that was cool as can be too. Let's give
100,
credit where Lincoln leaves. They need a coach to coach that bowl game. In comes Bob Stoops to
perfect.
take that. I mean, that was chilling, right? As a college
Yeah,
football fan, let's be very honest here. Whether you like OU or not,
yeah,
that's a
it's cool, man.
storybook moment. I'm
I like
sorry,
Bob
continue.
Stoops, man. I love that's I do. I like Bob Stoops. It's funny. I'm reading his book, but I tell you, like, of course, those guys are interacting still with the program that they helped foster a foundation for, help foster a winning mentality for. There's love there. They put a lot of work in, a lot of time in, right? Of course, they're coming back and appreciating that. You know what I'm saying? But as far as the recruiting, maybe they have like a conversation when they're there, but they're not recruiting to come play for them, right? They are not recruiting you, and even the recruits know this. Like I don't even. That's why I don't even know how this would even go out there, right? And come up with this have life to it, because if you want to dog on somebody so bad that you have to make up a story that the greatest coach of all time, the only reason Alabama is having success is because he's coming back recruiting when he's not even going to be coaching in practice or on the sidelines. Like, what do you think? Seriously, like, where do you think these players know that? They're not sitting there going, I'm committing to Nick Saban. No, it has nothing to do with Nick Saban has done amazing things. Just like all the coaches who have had success in programs. Now, granted, Nick Saban's on a ground level of his own because he is considered the greatest of all time. I mean, he truly is. But coaches have had success in other programs. But the players, you're not thinking about, like, it's like me at Washington, right? I'm not sitting there going, "Oh, I'm committing to Don James." What? No, Don James is not coaching. Like, who's the coach? Who's the position coach?
Well,
That's who
also,
you're going to play for.
if
It's just
these
so crazy to
rumors,
me, man.
if the rumors had any legs, I guess, and haven't even countered it with this on Twitter because I'm not even going to give it the time of day, but I have seen it enough to where I did think it was a viable topic. If Nick Saban was doing so much recruiting, how come some of the guys left when he retired?
Right? Like, weird. Why did Caleb Downs? There's a good example because Nick Saban did not. That was kind of his guy, right? Like Caleb Downs was his guy. He did not want him to leave, but obviously it didn't change anything for Caleb Downs. He still left. So the connecting those dots, right? Like they don't connect.
Not at all. Not at
Yeah,
all.
man.
We're trying to paint a Picasso and have the artistic ability of me. It's not happening,
Me
right?
too.
It's just not happening. And listen, I think that's a great place to end here, right? We've talked about Akland Dear, the viability of a flip that we both believe it's definitely within the cards. If he is fonged to Bama, there's something there. Where there is smoke, there's fire. And it's so wild that there's a fire when it's such a cold summer in Tuscaloosa. But make no mistake, the Crimson Tide are on fire. Jake, before I let you go, one more time, let the people know where they can find your new content.
Yeah, 100%. Come check it out, subscribe. Like I said, we'll have a video out today, and there's a welcome video there too. But there it is. It's Set the Tone, Alabama and College Football Talk. Again, you can search my handle down below at Coach_JMayer on the YouTube, and we'll pull it up as well. But yeah, come join, come tune in, and we're gonna have some fun talking ball. And again, it'd be fun to get these guys on with Ty and some of the other coaches that we get to go on the panel with. So just appreciate all the support once again, and can't wait to get this rolling.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Hop down to the comments. Let us know what you thought about the viability of an Akland Deer flip. And then let us know what you think about these Nick Saban recruiting rumors. Both Jake and I find it ridiculous, but ultimately we have to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Let us know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.